You ever wonder why some brands just seem to have it all figured out? Like they thrive no matter what's going on. Well, I'll tell you, it's not luck. They have a map for this crowded, constantly shifting business world. And today, we're going to show you how to draw your own. It really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do some companies just consistently knock it out of the park, while others, well, they just get lost in the noise? It feels like they have some kind of secret playbook. Well, it's not magic and it's not a secret. The winning brands build their entire strategy on a super solid foundation of analysis. They start by drawing a really detailed map of their commercial environment, and we're about to break down exactly how they do it. Okay, so the first, and I'd argue the most important landmark on this map, that's your customer. Everything, and I mean absolutely everything, starts right here. If you don't get them, you're basically navigating blind. So what are we really looking for? We need to dig deep into their true needs, their actual behaviors, and what really motivates them to act. The answers you find are the key to tailoring your products and your messaging so perfectly that you build genuine, lasting loyalty. Just think about Netflix for a second. They aren't just throwing shows at the wall and hoping something sticks. No way. They are masters of customer analysis. They use all that viewing data to create original content they know a specific audience is going to binge watch. Now that is the power of knowing your customer.
All right, once you've got a handle on your customers, you need to see who else is fighting for their attention. This brings us to the next stop, analyzing your competitors. And remember, this is not about copying them. It's about finding ways to outsmart and out-innovate them.
You have got to know who you're up against. Not just the obvious rivals, but the indirect ones too. What are they amazing at? And more importantly, where are their weaknesses? Understanding all this lets you spot those little gaps in the market, the opportunities that everyone else has missed, and helps you carve out a space that's uniquely yours.
I mean, the perfect example is that constant battle between Apple and Samsung, right? Their rivalry forces both of them to constantly one-up each other with better cameras, faster chips, and new features. It's all fueled by intense competitive analysis, and it ends up pushing the entire industry forward for all of us.
Okay, so you know the customer, you know the competition. The third step is a big one. It's time to turn that lens inward. You have to do an honest, really clear-eyed assessment of your own company. No sugarcoating. A classic tool for this is the good old SWOT analysis. It's such a powerful framework because it forces you to identify your internal strengths and weaknesses and then look at the external opportunities and threats. It's really the foundation of self-awareness for any business. The most important thing here is to get brutally honest about what makes you unique. Knowing your core strengths allows you to build a strategy that plays to what you do best, while you work on managing or mitigating any of those weaknesses. Think about Tesla. They didn't even try to beat the old-school car makers at their own manufacturing game. Nope. Instead, they leveraged their unique internal strengths, their pioneering battery tech, and a software-first approach to completely redefine the entire category and build a totally dominant position. All right, so we've covered the 3 big things you can actually influence. But here's the thing, no business exists in a vacuum. The final piece of our map is understanding the context, all those big external forces that are shaping your world, whether you like it or not. We're talking about the major shifts here, changes in the economy, brand new technology, evolving social values, or new government regulations. You can't control these things, but you absolutely have to understand them. The businesses that don't just survive but actually thrive are the ones that can adapt to these changes. And we all just lived through a massive textbook example of this. That sudden global shift to remote work was a huge contextual change. Zoom happens to be perfectly positioned for that exact moment, and their growth was just explosive. They meant the moment because they understood and fit the new context. Okay, so we've drawn our map, we've analyzed the customers, the competitors, our own company, and the context. But a map by itself is really just a piece of paper. You need a destination. You need a plan to get there. This is where we turn all that analysis into real action. If the 4 C's are your map, then you can think of the STP framework, that's segmentation, targeting, and positioning, as your compass. It's what tells you which way to go. It's a really logical process. Look, you can't be everything to everyone, so first you segment the market into different, distinct groups. Then you target the one segment where you have the absolute best chance to win. And finally, you position your brand so that your target audience sees you as the obvious, perfect solution for them. See, positioning is all about the real estate you occupy in a customer's mind. Take a brand like Mercedes-Benz. They target a luxury segment by positioning themselves around prestige, status, and engineering. On the flip side, a mass market brand like Toyota targets a much wider audience by positioning itself on affordability and reliability. They both sell cars, but they are playing in completely different mental marketplaces. And hey, before we wrap up, let's just clarify one quick thing, because you hear these words thrown around a lot. Just remember, the market is the big picture, all the potential buyers. The marketplace is the specific place, like Amazon or a physical store, where the actual transaction goes down. It's a small difference, but an important one. So there you have it. You've got the map and the compass, the 4 C's to understand your entire landscape, and STP to chart your course through it. This is the framework that turns wild guessing into a winning strategy. So the only question left is, what landscape are you going to map first?